What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rantin Review. Hopefully, if you're in the States, you're having a happy Memorial Day and enjoying Memorial Day weekend. We are talking today about the Memorial Day tradition now. Double or Nothing from All Elite Wrestling, which happened this past Sunday this year, featuring technically two main events for the AEW Championship and the second ever Stadium Stampede match. To kind of give a synopsis of what this event was to me, essentially, it's a tale of three different parts. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 was pretty damn good. We started off the night, actually the pre-show was actually pretty decent too. The return of Rio, taking on Serena Deebs for the NWA Women's Championship. Deebs retained, looking a lot more vicious than she ever has before. It's good to see Rio back. They've announced that she's come pretty much to the States and made the States her full-time home now. So we'll probably be seeing a lot more of her in the women's division in All Elite Wrestling. The show proper opened up with Page versus Cage. Hangman Adam Page taking on the Machine Brian Cage, a match that, again, I was really looking forward to when they announced it. I liked the match that they had on Dynamite a few weeks ago, and this was kind of a return in order basically for Page to get his win back because they are moving towards Page going for the AEW Championship at some point down the line this year, I would imagine. Brian Cage, there's a couple of people that think he's buried and all this other stuff. Cage right now, you can kind of see what they're doing. They're doing him in this kind of deal where they're moving him away from Team Taz. He's going to be a breakout singles face. So this is the steps in order to get to that point logically in the show. So, and as we expected, his Team Taz friends didn't quite help him out in this match. They were also kind of the reason that he lost this match. But this was an excellent opening match. I want to see more of Page and Cage. Give me Page and Cage 3. I could do it all day long, but Hangman Page picks up the win. And now we'll see where he goes on in the future on AEW Dynamite. The Young Bucks defended the AEW Tag Team Championships against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I'm going to talk more about Eddie Kingston a little bit later on in this show, but, you know, this was a fantastic tag team match. The Bucks always prove that they're one of the best tag teams in the world, and Mox and Eddie hung in there with them. They did a very good job of establishing the two different types of styles, with Mox and Kingston mostly brawling to get the advantage. The Young Bucks doing a lot of double teaming to get the advantage. A lot of chicanery in the match, but it was an awesome, fun match. In the end, the Young Bucks did retain the AEW Tag Team Championships by giving like 4 BTE triggers to Jon Moxley to get the win. It was. I liked the match. I thought it was fun. It was one of the best matches on the card. We then went into the Casino Battle Royal, and I would say typically in the last couple of years, this Casino Battle Royal has been kind of meh. But this year I liked it. The concept seems to finally have solidified. You did get the big surprise of the Joker being Lio Rush, currently an independent wrestler who's wrestled mostly, from what I've seen, on New Japan Strong, so that Forbidden Door continues to be open, despite whatever anybody says right now. The main crux of this match was Christian, Jungle Boy, and Matt Hardy's group. And Matt Hardy and Private Party, they tried to get the advantage several times over everybody. They eliminated a lot of people that fans did not want to see them eliminated. There are a lot of people in this battle royal too, and I'm going to bring this up now, who were over that you didn't know were going to be over. Because the cool thing about this show, this is the first time AEW has had this many fans in attendance. I think they said 5,000, 6,000 people, however many it was. And at that large a crowd, you can start to get a perception of what the overall wrestling audience really feels about some of these stars, something we haven't been able to do for the past year because of the pandemic and limited crowds. Well, now we definitely see who has gotten over during the pandemic and who has not, especially in this battle royal. The Acclaimed are over. That was they got a war when they came out. Jungle Boy is absolutely over. This goes back to Eddie Kingston. He's mad over after his match. Brian Cage is over. Adam Page is monster over. It's not even a question. And a couple other people on this show that I didn't know if the fans were. I was surprised the fans were so into them as they were. Again, because we don't get that fan feedback every single week, and we haven't. It's going to be interesting to see WWE's next pay-per-view in the next couple of Raws when they get full crowds back to see who's getting booed and who's getting cheered on their show. But the Casino Battle Royal ended up with Christian, having that big final reunion with Matt Hardy that we've all been kind of waiting for. That happened. But Didn't last too long. Matt got ousted, so did Private Party. It came down to Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. Christian Cage, I was feeling that, and this is probably some of my North American booking fears, that, oh God, he's the star. It seems like they want to go with him, but that's going to be a mistake because the crowd likes Jungle Boy, and then they're going to wind up booing Christian Cage, who's supposed to be the face. But no. Fortunately, AEW did not do that. Jungle Boy did win this, because Jungle Boy has been in the finals of a lot of these battle royals and qualifying matches and all this stuff, but he never wins them. But he finally won this one. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, as JR will call him, won the battle royal and will now go on to face the AEW World Champion, whoever that may be, in a couple weeks on Dynamite. Then we got into what I will call Act 2 of the show, and things kind of fell apart a little bit here. Anthony Ogogo's match against Cody Rhodes, the American Dream Cody Rhodes. The beginning part of it was, I do not disrespect the military. I appreciate the military of my family. I have friends who are military, so I absolutely respect and love the military, like most people who know military people would. I appreciated that. It started getting a little John Cena-ish, though, with Cody kind of being the poster boy for them, but they didn't go too far with it, but they kind of nudged at it, but they didn't quite go full Cena with it. But there's people who have problems with this patriotic angle. I don't. There's other people, apparently in Jacksonville. It is Jacksonville, Florida, so there was much more of the crowd that were into it than there weren't. You didn't notice that there were some sporadic USA chants, but the whole crowd didn't get into it. Some people did boo Cody. You did hear that. But that's neither here nor there for this match. This match went on too long. Anthony Ogogo was not ready for this spot, and Cody wanted this to be some big dramatic match, so I think it was misbooked, if just asking my opinion on it. I probably would have preferred them see work around Ogogo's punches, Cody trying to wrestle him, but Ogogo comes back. He gets a couple moves, but the punch keeps knocking Cody down until Cody can get the win. Match should have been probably about 5 or 7 minutes. They made it longer than that and tried to do a lot more with Anthony Ogogo than they really should have. He's not there yet, so I'm sure he'll get there someday. But I think this match was not booked the way I would have booked it. But it's AEW; they can book whatever they want the way they want it. But I get a sense from a lot of fans and the crowd reaction that this wasn't a hit, and the crowd kind of died during this match. Cody did get the win. It was a hard-fought win. It did get across him fighting hard for what he believed in and all of that, which that worked. But again, it just wasn't the right time to do this with Ogogo's character. That went into the next match as well, which was Miro defending the TNT Championship against the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, a match I was very much looking forward to on this show. And again, I don't think the match was booked the right way. I've said this before, and this is going to be one of those times that I say that WWE has done this the right way, and this goes back a couple of years to the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar match. They booked that match right. Two big guys like that. I just want you booked the match. You booked that match around a spear, the jackhammer, the German suplexes, and the F5, and you book around those 4 moves. And the match again, 5 minutes long, 7 minutes long, maybe. Big moves hit. It's a big heavyweight title fight. You're going to see big hits. Whoever gets the last big hit is going to win the match. That should have been what this match was with Miro and Lance Archer. Archer, I never really understand why he has to do so many flips and stuff. As a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", 320 pounds, however big he is, he's a big dude. He has an Undertaker type of frame. I don't think he picks the right spots. He started the match out with a dive that was a little bit of a botch outside onto the ramp on the Miro. He did a backflip off the top rope. He did another splash here and all this other stuff. It's like, I want to see, when I see these two big guys going at each other, I want to see them collide like monster trucks. The match was too long, and again, I think they should have done it a different way, but again, that's just my opinion. AEW can book whatever they want, the way they want it to, but the match didn't work for me, and from the sound of the crowd, it didn't work well for them either. It was okay, it's not a terrible match, it's just an okay match. I think they could have booked it a lot shorter with a lot more intensity and ferocity, and just get in there and get out, and with the big guys like that, I think that's what you want to see. Then we get into the AEW Women's Championship match, and Britt Baker is finally getting her shot against Shida, who's been AEW Women's Champion for over a year. Shida's been a good champion. Britt Baker's been a good face of the women's division, and this was supposed to be her coronation. It wound up being. Britt Baker is another one who is mad over with the crowd. Like when she came out, the place erupted. She is a star. But she's one of the ones you already knew was a star, but you hadn't heard a crowd react to her that way because we were in a pandemic and she was injured a lot last year. So we get into this match, and this is a match of two halves. The first half of this match, there's some communication problems. Some of the spots they were trying to do, it seems like they didn't know where they were going at some points, and there's some missed things, and things weren't very crisp. Then you get to the second half of the match, which is absolutely amazing, all the way up to all of the finishes, the false finishes at the end, to the poetic finish to end the match. Britt Baker finally getting her submission hold in. Shida, after all of this time, finally having to give up the AEW Women's Championship. It was a little heartbreaking because I follow Shida on Instagram. She's such an adorable person, but she had a long run. She had a good run, but it is time for Britt Baker to be the face of that women's division and for them to kind of take it up to the next level. And I am so looking forward to her and Thunder Rosa having a match for the AEW Championship now, which I think everybody is. But overall, I think this match probably a little bit too tilted in a positive because the last half of it was so good, you kind of forget about the first half of it. But I'm okay with that. It was an absolutely fantastic women's match. Congratulations to Baker for becoming the new AEW Women's Champion. Now into the third and final part of the night where we got a bunch of matches. One match I wasn't even really expecting to look forward to. That was Sting and Darby Allin taking on Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. This match was way better than I thought it was going to be. It was so entertaining, so many great moments in it. And the finish was so fantastic. Scorpio Sky trying to do a springboard cutter onto Sting, and Sting stopped him, and I thought for a second it was a botch, but no, it was Sting actually catching him and then immediately dropping Scorpio Sky, ironically enough, in a Scorpion Death Drop, getting the win for the team. That was a fantastic finish to that match. Best finish of the night. Darby Allin fought his butt off as he usually does. Him and Ethan Page continuing their feud from the Indies here in AEW. At one point, Sting has really got to lift him up. Ethan Page throws Darby into his brothers at ringside. There's a lot of stuff in this match that I did not expect to be as good as it was. So this was my surprise hit of the night. I did not think I was going to enjoy this match. Sting even did a dive from off the chips. The old Stinger's dive that he was one of the first guys to really make that popular back in the old NWA when he would dive through the ropes or over the top rope out on the floor. I remember people would go crazy for that stuff back in the day. He was one of the ones that did the dives. To see him do it here in a company known for dives is pretty cool. So Sting and Darby Allin picking up the win. Fantastic match. Kenny Omega defends the AEW World Championship in a triple threat match against Orange Cassidy and Pac. And I brought this up, and I think this is the end of me in Twitter. I brought this up on Twitter about Orange Cassidy is kind of in a similar spot that Kenny Omega was in about 4.5 years ago, which I'm referring to is when Kenny Omega 4.5 years ago was going to Wrestle Kingdom to wrestle Kazuchika Okada for the World Championship, the IWGP Championship in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom 11. There was still a lot of doubt at the time. In fact, I just watched that match on New Japan World, and they were talking about it during the commentary and on the New Year Dash the next day, how there were some questions about whether or not Omega and Okada could be in the main event of a Wrestle Kingdom show. There's questions about Omega, who had been known as a comedy wrestler. Now he had won the G1, but much like Orange Cassidy, he was kind of this comedy wrestler that would do silly things in the ring. He'd do a chainsaw thing with his forearm on a guy's head. He, of course, wrestled a blow-up doll and a kid and all this other stuff. So, Omega was known as a comedy guy and a junior heavyweight. And then in 2016, he got into the spot where a lot of people were doubted him, and he proved it. My comparison was that Orange Cassidy's kind of in the same position. Orange Cassidy, a lot of people are like, this is a comedy wrestler. He does silly stuff. And he's kind of in the same position where we don't know whether or not he can carry a main event spot. They kept it to him not really breaking out full Orange Cassidy, him fully being a full wrestler. He's still doing his shticking gimmick, and he really didn't have to bust out because Pac and Omega were doing some fantastic stuff in this match. Orange Cassidy filled his spot to where he needed to fill it in. Pac is just a beast. I mentioned also that I'm so mad Katsuyori Shibata is retired from wrestling. I would love to see a Shibata Pac match at this point in their career. Well, at this point in Pac's career, with Shibata at the prime of his career would have been awesome. Cassidy made a good showing of it, but at the end it was Omega reversing into a crucifix to get the pin on Orange Cassidy, retaining the championship. The Elite retain all their belts. And Don Callis is happy, even though he cursed on the screen because he thought Orange Cassidy was going to win at one point in the match, which I think a lot of us did for a minute. Final match of the show was the Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. I am not a big fan of, as you guys probably know, followed me for a while, of the cinematic wrestling matches. But this is fine. You know, they did some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. It was overall, though, the entire presentation was fun. It was long, but it was a fun presentation. They kind of separated all the guys into their little pairings. FTR against Proud and Powerful, Santana Ortiz over here. We got a little cameo from Conan, which was pretty cool. We got Tully Blanchard wearing his old Bunkhouse Stampede NWA outfit, along with FTR, who were wearing it too, which even Tony Schiavone picked up on that, which is cool. They put a spike in Tully's head, but they didn't pick up on that, because the spike in Tully's head and why that was a big spot is because, for those of you on my channel probably know this already, but one of Tully Blanchard's most famous matches is an I Quit match against Magnum TA at Starrcade 85, where the match ended because Magnum TA took a wooden spike and jammed it into Tully Blanchard's head until he said, "I quit." So that's where that spot came from, that the announcers kind of missed out on a little bit. I'm surprised by that, but they were broken up into their own little group. Hager and Wardlow were broken up into their group. MJF and Jericho were broken up into their group. Did a scary spot where they were teasing throwing Jericho off the side of the balcony. That wasn't the only scary part of this match. But I like Jericho and MJF's bits pretty good. I like the tag team bits pretty good. Wardlow and Hager stuff was alright. Sammy stuff with Shawn Spears was okay, but then of course it got better. And I was just waiting for this because you knew this was going to happen. Sammy got the golf cart this year and chased down Shawn Spears. They started the match in the ring against each other, and the match ended with the two of them in the ring back in Daly's place. Sammy Guevara picking up the win after he lost last year's Stadium Stampede. He won this year's. Very good storytelling there with the full circle of Sammy Guevara's character, not only in this match, but in the Stadium Stampede and in the feud altogether. It was really cool to see Guns N' Roses, or the Inner Circle as they are, gathered together in the ring, celebrating a win. They don't have to break up, which I was hoping they wouldn't. And we went off the air of AEW Double or Nothing with a pretty damn good show. Again, not the best show of all time, not the greatest pay-per-view of all time. The beginning was great. The ending was pretty good. The middle part was meh, but I'd watch it again, and I definitely suggest you, if you're an AEW fan or a sports entertainment fan, to go check this out. This is a pretty damn good pay-per-view. But that's my thoughts. You guys discuss it in the comments box below if you want to. I will see you guys next time for more news and rumors here on the Rantin Review. Have a good day.